Okay, this is going to be a weekly recap going over the first week of January, the 2nd to the 6th, and it does not seem like I did very well, not just in terms of did the setup work or not, but also did I trade well or not because of this one trade here with DIY. 6 trades, and this is something new that I've added. Was my risk level broken in the first 10 minutes? Was my risk level broken in the first hour? Was it broken by the time it got to the middle of the day? And I decided to add it because there have been a lot of setups where it just downtrends a little bit after I enter and I get out of the trade, but it never breaks my risk level, and then it uptrends and it gets much higher and it reaches the goal. I'm actually thinking about adding one new section, which is whether or not it reached the goal in the first 10 minutes, in the first hour, and by the time it was the middle of the day. I think I might do that for next week. I'll add on to it. And it does show that briefly one trade did break my risk level in the first 10 minutes, but by the time I got into an hour or the middle of the day, it was no longer below that level. So that's one thing to take into consideration. And I think there were a few of these where I could have been much more profitable. Let's look at the first trade, which is going to be on a third with Rivian, which we already have right here. This is the third. Not too significant other than the fact that it had at least one bounce, one attempted bounce after it's been selling off for a very long time. And then this first day here, we have a bit of a downtrend as well, and it even breaks the range low, so it might just continue the downtrend, which I think, yeah, it did continue the downtrend. All right, the third is going to be probably the first one, which is here. No, that's the 30th. Here's the third. I was in at 944 at 1837, 1838. Morning panic bounce place. So let's zoom in some more. 944 was right here, and I was in at 1838. Why? Again, a morning panic bounce play in theory. It didn't really drop that much. 1883 as low as 1827, which is not very much in terms of percent difference, but I did take it because it just looked like one. It looked like something that I would trade with an OTC setup, and so you can tell it did not work out right here. I did get out of this trade the next minute, 945 at 822 and a half. So 945 was right here, 822 and a half. So I got out because of the fact that it got to the day low and it was looking like it was going to break it. So I got out of it. And then I had something weird right here. As you can see, this is a short setup. And what happened was is that I was trading this on Schwab. And then when I tried to do my speed keys to immediately get out of the trade, I did it twice, and then what happened was is that I sold to get out of the position, but then I sold again, which led me into a short position, which was this next trade right here. And there is a setup. It broke the day low after it tried to bounce, the past few days. And that was a new setup. So now I was short. Let me go to the next trade right here at 9:45, the same minute at 8:22:06. So let's look at 9:45. Now being short right here at 8:22:06. So I got short right here on the very bottom of this candle, right when it was breaking the day low. And this, as you can see, was actually very profitable, but I didn't trade this one well. I could have put no, I traded this badly, but because I wasn't trying to get in this position, I'm going to give myself some slack. I got out of this at 9:46 at 18:18, so 9:46 was. I need to stop doing that unless I'm just cutting the trade for a loss, selling stuff the same minute, especially the entire position. I got out at 1818 right here, and I just got out of it because it just kind of looks like it was hitting some kind of bottoming price action, like where maybe it breaks below the day low, but then it just downtrends a little bit, and now it looks like it might try to come back again. Pretty emotional trading. I did very bad with this trade because, even though I didn't really plan to get in the trade, I could have used a trend line, which in this case could have been something like this, right? And then it would have allowed me to have held on to the trade at least towards the 1760 level when it breaks past it, officially, closing and opening past the downtrending trend line for the short setup. Let's just see what it would have been like if I covered at, let's just say 1762. Yeah, it would have been 30 bucks. That's really crazy the way that worked with that trade right there. And ideally, I can get better in the future. Again, I wasn't trying to get in this setup, but I could have just taken it for what it was and used trend lines. That's why it's right in the middle. Let's look at Rivian again, and this was a long setup a bit later in the day at 9:55. I was in at 17:57, and this was a morning panic bounce play again, but at a later point. So let's look at 9:55, which was right here at this 17:57 level. Again, now thinking that maybe this could be the official bottom for the morning panic bounce play. And I've been having a rough time, not rough time, trying to figure out when I should use trend lines. In this case, you can see this would have broken past it a while ago, but it never really downtrended after it broke the downtrending trend line right here. Or if I were to draw again like the one I had with the short setup, not exactly, but I don't know. Just me. It was just me just trying to trade it because I thought it was trying to reverse, with in mind that it was panicking. I did get out of this one at 9:57 at 17:51, so 9:57 wasn't too much later either. Yeah, it makes sense. I got out because it was looking like it was gonna break the day low again. Really don't know how to do stuff with trend lines. I've been kind of thrown off from that lately, but I'll keep trying to get more data. And ideally, this thing that I added right here and the new section I might add for next week, whether or not it got to my goal, will be something that will help me get better with stuff like that. Let's look at the next trade, GTII on the 4th. The 4th is going to be right here, the 4th. Yeah, we'll probably do it from the new run up it's been having since it is a bit wide. Just had a run up and it hasn't really been doing too much since. It did break this range right here on the 4th, so maybe I thought it could be like something where they could do a whole bunch of volume and then come back and bounce. The 4th is going to be right here. I was in at 9:37 at 106, and this was a morning panic bounce play round number support. So 9:37 at 106. We'll try to zoom in a bit more right here. 9:37 was right here at 106. So why did I get in this? I got in it for that ideal morning panic bounce play where it just drops from 115 all the way to 102, and then I thought if the setup fails is going to be unfortunate, but I think it might try to bounce because it's trying to hold the round number of $1, so that's why I was in it for that reason, for a bounce towards the upside. I got out at 9:39 at 104.25, so 9:39 104.25, so that was roughly around right here when I got out my average at 9:39, and it just didn't seem like it was going to work out because it did break this range of 106 and it got to 107, but it didn't get much higher and it started the downtrend, and then when the price action looked really bad, I got out of it and it never got to VWAP, but it did later, and this was an example of a setup that never broke my risk level, which would have been the day low or the $1 level as that level of support. It didn't really work that well. I mean, it got to 110 maybe. Let's just see what a sell at 108 would have been. Again, this one just wasn't that nice, but in theory, it never broke my risk level. Let's look at the next trade, which is DIDIY that I traded terribly on the 6th. This is a nice one, really nice subtrend. I like how it broke this level right here. Very impressive stock. I was in at 9:32 at 410, and this was a morning spike range breakout. So 9:32, way back here, I was in at 410. So right here, why did I get in this? Well, in theory, it was moving towards this breakout level above this range, and then after a little bit of a downtrend, it was breaking this range, this morning range of 409, and then there was a lot of sellers at 410, but when it looked like it was going to get taken out, I did get out, not get out, I got in the position at 410, and I did eventually sell the next freaking minutes at 4:15. Right here is when I got out. And I got out because I was just scared chicken because there were so many sellers at the ask. But then this one just traded in a way where there were all of these 40, 50,000 share sellers at the ask and they would get instantly taken out. It's like the moment they showed up, it will get taken out. And I just got thrown off from that. This was a setup where I could have been mega profitable and I should have, but I traded like an idiot right here. And I could have had a trend line from the corner to the corner of the first uptrending candle, and then it opened below the trend line. That could have been a sell at the 422 point, or right here when we officially closed out of the trend line. Let's just see what a sell at 423 would have been. Really unhappy with the way I traded this one. Yeah, that would have been pretty profitable. It would have been nice. And then the problem was is that I also hesitated on this setup right here, the dip under VWAP. I hesitated on the breakouts, the high day breakouts, and it was just really, really bad how I missed so many setups with this stocks. So it's not like, oh, I'm waiting for the right setups to show up so I can make the money. This was it, and I traded like an idiot. And this is just a reminder why I should use trend lines. And I need to add that new section as well, whether or not I got to the goal, because if I'm seeing that very few amount of trades actually break my risk level, and a majority of them like break past my goal, or get to it in the first hour, that can be something where even though I'm a chicken, the stats show that I should hold on for that reason, and then that could allow me to be more profitable, taking the emotion out of trading. Let's look at the last trade, which is going to be a resistance breakout towards high day. I'm happy with the way I traded this one better, even though it didn't really work out when I got in this. 10:03, I was in at 426, so 10:03 was right here at 426. So why did I get in this? Well, I got in it because it was breaking above this. I wonder what the level was. I thought it was some kind of resistance breakout. I think maybe 425 perhaps. And I got in at 426. Essentially, there was a level of resistance and broke past it. Oh, actually, no, I think it was 424. It might have been 424 or 425, but it essentially broke a resistance level. And then I thought I can continue the uptrend with a breakout and then approach the high a day or maybe even break above it. And I did get out of this one at, oh wait, I was like, did I sell the next minute later here too? No, this was 3 minutes later at 10:06, and my average was 425 and a half. So 10:06 was right here. Yeah, this big red candle. So I essentially got in on the uptrend and got out when it downtrended, but it never broke my risk level, I'm guessing. What was my risk level? It was VWAP. Yeah, I mean, it did right here. Yeah, this is one where, it did break my risk level in the first 10 minutes, but just barely. But then it did eventually, get to the goal, which was a high a day, and they even broke above it, and it never got to that risk level again. So this was an example of, me trying to get better in that sense, that maybe I get in and it does like a little bounce. It doesn't really work that well, but then maybe it puts up a higher low, a double bottom, or maybe in this case it even touches the risk level and closes briefly under it, and then it opens immediately the next candle above it, and then it works out later. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I hope I can do better next week. That was pretty bad the way I traded this week, and I can do better. I should do better at least. Trying to, I guess, get the emotion out of it and use stats more, as to whether the setups work or not. That's all I have for this weekly recap right here.